So my goal on my channel is always to share with you guys my personal experiences with beauty products, and to get a really good idea of what's out there, I try to test a wide range of products from textures to like price points. And when it comes to luxury or designer makeup brands, I feel like it's really hard for me to bite the bullet when there is a wide range of makeup, and a lot of it I love that's more inexpensive. But I have been asked to share what I think is the best of the best luxury brand products and the things that I have tried. So I thought that I would share with you guys today to help you kind of avoid purchasing things that may or may not be worth it. These products perform exceptionally well, and I would even categorize some of them as being game changers for me. And if you have some favorite luxury products that I may not have tried, I would encourage you to leave them in the comments with a review to help others out too. And at the end of this video, I will be sharing some luxury products that I do own that I do not think are worth it. I do want to let you guys know that this is not the extent of everything that I own that is more of a designer luxury makeup brand, but these are definitely the ones that if I were to strip them of their names, I would think that they just work so well. And while I have talked about a lot of very similar products that are more on the affordable side of things, I did want to provide you guys that have asked with this information so you could kind of have it all in one video. The first one I think is going to come at no surprise to anyone, but the Dior foundation stick. I have this in the shade 3N, and I have talked about this so often. I feel like this is the perfect satin matte finish for an all-day wear. While this is still a neutral shade, it does lean a little bit olive for me. So with that being said, I do feel like the shade range of this is not the best. But if you are able to find your shade, this has become my favorite foundation stick. It's very versatile. You can use it straight onto the skin as is, and you can also combine this with something like a milky toner to get more of a skincare, more natural finish on this face. The finish of this, while it is a satin matte, still has the properties of a blurring foundation, which I think is really nice, especially if you are someone on the more oily side like I am. That usually wears very well throughout the day. I will say that if you use too much of this at one time, it can get kind of cakey, but it's really easy to just go in with a couple swipes, blend this out, and then kind of see if you need a little bit more in some areas or if you're good to go. I've traveled with this. This is my go-to if I want a really flawless, beautiful base that is just going to stay all day. I also want to take a second to talk about my jewelry pieces, which I would consider little luxuries that I love so much. You guys have probably noticed I wear a lot of the same dainty gold jewelry throughout my videos because I like having core collections and pieces that really withstand the test of time. I have talked about in the past how I've slowly been collecting quality, meaningful jewelry pieces that I intend to keep throughout my lifetime because my mom has slowly been passing down pieces of her own, such as this necklace right here, and I really love it, and it's made me think about how I want to have pieces that I can have throughout my lifetime as well as have the option to pass down also. And I was recently gifted these pieces right here that I'm wearing from the sponsor of today's video, Idyl, and I'm so impressed by the quality as well as the craftsmanship of the pieces. Idyl diamond pieces such as these are made of the top 1% of lab-grown diamonds, which a lot of people actually don't realize is still a real diamond with the same chemical, physical, and optical properties of a mined diamond, but it's obtained in an ethical way. My wedding ring is actually a lab-grown diamond, and it is the prized possession of my life. And what I really love about these pieces is that you can completely customize everything. I actually put these studs that I'm wearing right here with these beautiful backings, and they are marquee diamonds to match my wedding ring, which is very difficult to find a marquee diamond, by the way. And I went with the medium sized diamond because you actually have the option to do petite, medium, or big. And I also have this beautiful diamond cuff that you can attach to the backing of the studs right here. I love how this combination just looks like one seamless piece, but if I wanted to, I could just wear the studs by themselves, or I could wear these two pieces together like I have today. There's something about it that just feels super intentional and custom, and if you're like me, you want to be able to have options with your pieces, and this is a really easy way to do it. And Idyl is also 90% female powered, and I'm already picking out my next pieces. If you guys are interested, I'll leave the names items as well as the links to each piece in the description box down below. Now we have something that is surprisingly a game changer for my makeup routine, and it is the Givenchy Prisme Libre Skin Caring Color Corrector. This one I have obviously is the blue shade. They do have different shades, but this one is going to be a multi-purpose color corrector that feels hydrating and it isn't too pigmented, so you don't have to worry about going overboard. And the reason why I think that this is great is because it is something that's really nice if you're looking for slightly correcting complexion products that go a little too yellow. For me, I have a lot of complexion products such as foundations and concealers that do tend to be a little bit more warm, either because they are more of my summer shades and I don't have as much of a tan right now, or because sometimes I am terrible at shade matching, so I go a little bit more warm if anything. And if you have tried your hand at color correcting and you can't quite get the proportions of mixing correct like me, that is why I feel like this is such a game changer. I do have a pure blue pigment and I have a pure white pigment, and sometimes I can kind of get it to work, but if I just want something that I know is going to be foolproof and I only need slight color correcting, like I said, this is the one that I reach for. Because this is going to be a little bit more sheer than a pure pigment, it's going to be a lot more forgiving. I have used this to color correct a lot of my concealers actually, because once you put powder on a concealer that is even a half step too warm, it can really emphasize the yellow in them. So this really gets it to where it looks really seamless on the skin. This is quite a new one to my collection, but this is one of the products that kind of made me think that I wanted to for sure do this video, and it is the Westman Atelier Bronzer Duo. This one I purchased during the Sephora sale, and I got this in Soleil Parfait too. I really appreciate how customizable this is. So you do have a cooler tone and a warmer tone. Each duo does have that. The texture of this is a cream, but the dry down is more of a powder finish, but it's still creamy enough to where I can blend it out before it dries down to more of that powder finish. And I do have oily skin, so anything that is cream to powder these days, I really appreciate, and it just lasts so much longer on my skin. I like using the cooler side to do a slight contour and then using the warmer side to just blend that into my natural complexion. It really does look so natural. I do own a handful of luxury brand lip products, but this is the only one that I wanted to include in this video. And this one is actually also from Westman Atelier, and it's the Squeaky Clean Lip Balm in the shade Garçon. I would describe this as kind of being a lip oil lip balm hybrid. It has this watery, comfortable formula that's slightly thicker on the lips that gives you a really soft wash of color. I would say it's a little bit of a purpley mauve tone, but it does lean a little bit warmer, so maybe it's like a slight berry mauve. I don't exactly know how to describe this shade, but it is so complimentary on my skin tone. I do have a neutral undertone, and if anything, I do lean slightly warmer, so whenever I wear anything too cool, it just kind of washes me out. And this is a beautiful purpley shade that allows me to wear something like this without feeling like it's fighting with my complexion. It's just one of the most beautiful things. And right here, as you can see, it is quite sheer, but once you get it on the lips, it just warms it up and it gives you this really nice watery look on the lips that I just cannot get enough of. I love this formula, and I really wish they would come out with more shades because unfortunately there aren't a ton that really call to me, but I love this one enough that I think it'll hold me over. I do have a couple of eyeshadow products, and I will be the first to admit that I have talked your ears off about all of these, so I'm going to try to be quick with it, and if you want you can skip forward if you need to. But the first one is going to be the Armani eye tints. These are some of the most incredible liquid eyeshadows and probably the smoothest that I have come across. They are slightly moussey, and they're moussey enough to blend them out without them being patchy when they dry down, and if you have to go in with another layer, it doesn't look like you layered a liquid on top of a liquid, if that makes sense. And the medium coverage to these liquid eyeshadows, I think, is why it doesn't look like paint, which also helps with the blending process. They look very seamless. They look slightly on the more natural sheer side of things, but you can build them up, especially the ones that do have shimmer like this one. They're some of my favorite one and done eyeshadows, and I wouldn't say that these are 100% crease proof. As I've had these longer, I have noticed that while they do last a really long time and they'll get me me through an entire day of makeup wear. They do have a tendency to crease right like in the inner creases that I have if it's super hot and humid outside, or if I have my makeup on for super long and I don't use an eyeshadow primer. But honestly, it doesn't really bother me too much because you can barely tell. Now, I'm not sure if you guys will agree with me on this one, but is Hourglass a luxury brand? Whenever I went to Sephora's site and I clicked on the makeup luxury brand tab, Hourglass was in there, same with Ulta. So I was like, okay, maybe Hourglass is a luxury brand. So I'm going to include this in here because any chance that I get to talk about these, I will talk about these. And they are, of course, these eyeshadows. They are the scattered light glitter eyeshadows. I have 3 in my hands, but I could have sworn that I've had more. I'm not exactly sure, but still, these are some of the easiest single shadows to work with if you want something metallic and wet and just really poppy on the eyes. Essentially, these are going to be micro glitter eyeshadows that also have a light reflecting pearl to them, so you can get more of a metallic look if you really build this on top of itself, or you can get more of a multi-dimensional look without it being too metallic, and you can get something near a wet eyeshadow look if that's what you're going for. My perfect shade for that look is going to be this one in the shade Ray. If I use just this one on my eyes, it really does look like I just have a wet eyelid, and I think it's so beautiful. And as I've said a million times, I like something that you can kind of use in different ways. And today I used it on top of a matte shadow, and I used the shade Reflect and the shade Ray on the outside, and I created this eye look, and it's beautiful. You can apply this with your fingers if you want a little bit more of the product, or you can use it like I did today with a brush to kind of like swipe it on a little bit more sheer, and it's beautiful. You guys will probably have to ban me from talking about this one day, but the Surratt eyeshadow quad in Beyond Beige. This is my favorite eyeshadow quad that is out there, not only luxury but just in general. This is definitely a holy grail. There's something about these shades together that just live so well on the eyes, and not only that, this is a Japanese slurry texture, so it blends seamlessly with very little fallout, and it just looks like someone took a filter, like a blurring filter, on your eyeshadow. It never looks patchy, it never looks like unblended, no matter how little I blend this out. Trust when I say this is very expensive, but it has paid for itself in tenfold. Like, I have used this to the ground. I am very surprised that I haven't hit pan on any of these. If I hit pan soon, it's going to be on this shade. And I also wanted to note for you guys that this is now available on Ulta's website, and you can use your rewards on this product if you so choose to. But I love this. It is the best. Of course, I cannot find this one. I don't know where I placed this, but the Chanel Long Lasting Lip Duo. I talked about this one in a long lasting glossy lip video I did earlier this year. This one was very impressive, and I thought I only had one lip product, but I will take that back. I have 2 lip products in this video. I would say that the pigment side is more on the medium pigmentation side of things, which I think really works in its favor because it doesn't end up looking like a lacquer on the lips like some of the more film forming, glossy, long lasting lip products can look. This is going to be by far one of the more comfortable long lasting lip products out there in my opinion. I think that the pigment layer did not emphasize the lip lines, which was really important to me, and the sealant side of things actually feels like a very true substantial lip gloss. It felt hydrating, it felt comfortable, and it did last a long time on the lips. While this does transfer at the very end of the day, or if you're doing extensive like eating and drinking throughout the day, you're not gonna notice it too much if you're just like quickly glancing at it in the mirror. So overall, I would say that it passes the transfer and long wear test, and I really love the variety of shades that they have. There are some shades that are so similar that that only have a slight difference to them, whether it be the deepness, whether it be the undertone. But I think that's really nice because you can find your perfect shade and you don't have to go run around and get a couple, especially at that price point. Next, I actually have a fragrance, and it is the Diptyque La Papier. This is one of my favorite fragrances that I own and the only one that I have from Diptyque. And to me, this one is the perfect papery rice scent. It's slightly musky in such a clean way. The notes for this one says it's musk, white musk, sesame, mimosa, and woody notes. But for me, it really does smell like fresh paper, and it has slight rice scents to it. And if you're someone that's looking for a beautiful rice scent, I think that this is a good one. It's slightly woody, it's slightly nutty, it's soft, it's sophisticated, and I actually find that this lasts on the skin and it never is overpowering for me. And I'm someone that gets headaches that are triggered by scent, and this has never given me a headache. It wears so well on the skin and it kind of just lingers a little bit, and I'll just get little wafts of it throughout the day, and I love it. It's perfect all year round, especially if you are someone that loves like a rice, a little musky scent, but you live in a humid climate. This still wears beautifully. It never goes weird or funky. And I had to talk about the YSL Make Me Blush blushes. I really love these. I know that some people really love them, really hate them. I am someone that thinks that these are great. I have the shade number 37, which is this beautiful peachy shade. I have it on today. I would say that these have a really strong pigmentation, but it also blends seamlessly. This one is going to be a matte finish, but I find that it still blends really nicely and it doesn't look chalky or cakey. And I think the trick with these is that you have to get a shade that actually really complements your complexion. So for instance, this is more of a warm peachy shade. I do have more of a neutral leaning warm complexion, because I find if you pick something that's a little too light or even something that's too dark for your skin tone, this is just too opaque and it'll look out of place. You want something that's going to be close to a natural flush for you in order to make this look as seamless as possible. That may be the case for most blushes or most matte blushes, but especially the case for this one. This has a velvety, soft, blurred look and it feels very powdery. I find that it's really easy to apply on the skin, especially if you go in with a tapping motion. So that's everything that I feel like is the best of the best. Definitely worth it when it comes to luxury products. And I did want to add a little bonus for you guys here to let you know what I don't personally think is worth it. And I want to be clear on why I don't think each of these are worth it, not necessarily because they're bad, just because one reason or another. The first one is going to be the Gucci Oil and Water Stain. I have this one in the shade 130. I recently featured this in my newest lip showdown video, and I just had really mixed thoughts on this. I love the way that this faded on the lips and I loved the stain that it left. However, I did not like the process of how it looked when it was like wearing off on the lips. It made my lips look cracked, very dry. It clung to dry spots on my lips, and the colors just oxidized way too much. And while I think the lip stain is nice and, you know, the end result was really nice and it wore for a very long time throughout the day, I don't think that it's worth the price point, unfortunately. The YSL bronzer, the All Hours Hyper Bronze, this is just too warm on me. I love the texture of this. I like that you can build this up and it actually doesn't deposit too much pigmentation. It's way less pigmented in my opinion than the blushes, but once I get this on and I blend it into my skin, it just looks a little bit too warm and orangey on me. If they decided to expand the range, maybe I would check it out because I do like the formula. But yeah, if things tend to go orange on you, then I would not suggest this line. While I really love the Westman Atelier Bronzer Cream Duo, I'm not a huge fan of this duo. This one came out, I think, last year, and I bought it during last year's Sephora sale, but this is the Baby Cheeks Powder Blush Duo, and this is in the shade Suede and Sable. Maybe it's because of the shades that I chose, but they really don't show up very much on me if I don't pack it on, and by that point, it just looks really, really powdery on the skin. This doesn't really show up as a bronzer too much, and I tried to use it kind of like a bronzer, and I don't know, it just takes way too much effort for the price point in my opinion. I do have 2 lip products, not because they're bad again, but as you guys know, I am a lip product junkie, a fiend for lip products, and there are just so many that are out there that have duped these products time and time again that I couldn't really justify saying that these are worth it at this point. And the first one is the Dior lip oils. I love this one. I think it's beautiful. This is in the shade Mahogany. It looks beautifully wet and slick on the lips, but I don't find that this has the longest lasting shine on my lips, especially for the price point. And again, since this was kind of a trailblazer, so many brands have duped it, and I have found others that last just as long, or some of them even longer on the lips, that I couldn't justify buying another one, but I will use this one up because I do like this a lot. And of course, the YSL Love Shine. I don't even know which one this is. Candy Glaze. This is Candy Glaze in number 4. I think that this is beautiful. It wears well on the lips. It lasts a really long time, even though it's going to be more of that glossy finish. But again, there's just so many out there now that it's hard to justify purchasing multiple of these. While I love this one, I don't know. I don't really tend to gravitate towards these. And also, I wish they had more shades like this one. I feel like a lot of the shades in this line are really warm, or they're really pink, or they just don't really suit me, or they're just not my preference. There's one more, and I don't own this, but the Prada Longwear cream blushes that recently released, I had every intention of purchasing this, but when I went into the stores at Sephora during the Sephora sale, I could not justify buying it because the component is teeny tiny. There's like barely any product in there, and it was so small, and the packaging was so flimsy. It was like practically toy packaging in my opinion, not what I would expect from Prada. And also the texture, it was just a little bit too creamy for me, and it didn't really dry down very well from what I could tell. So that's another one where I feel like a lot of people have been really excited about it, but I don't really think it's worth it. All right, guys, so those were all of the luxury products that I think are worth it, and they're some of the best of the best. Let me know if you agree with me, or if you have other favorites that you would like to share with people in the comments down below. Again, thank you so much to Idyl for sponsoring this video. As always, I'm gonna leave a video right here in case you guys want to watch a couple more of my videos. And until then, I will see you very soon. Bye.